So this is how it happened. This is how I lost my job. So it was a Monday and I had a mandatory meeting added to my calendar for 9 a.m. Not with my manager, but with my manager's manager, which would be a director. I have to be careful what I say because there's still some legal things going on tied to finances. So certain things that I can say and certain things that I can't say yet. As soon as I saw the meeting request, I said, oh my goodness, what is this about? And I went into this more or less a panic mode because I didn't know why I was being summoned at that time of morning. I looked a little closer and then I realized because there were no notes on what the meeting was about. And then I see who was added to the meeting and it was the HR director. And I was like, I immediately start going through a bunch of rifling through my mental Rolodex, just trying to figure out what I did. I know I don't watch that kind of stuff on my work computer, like that. So I didn't know. I was like, did I violate the IT policy? Did I forget to do something? Did I ignore someone's request for something? I didn't know, but I knew it was important because it was not an optional meeting. It was a mandatory meeting, and it was the first I've ever had of that nature. So I knew it was important. And just a little backstory, the company's been going through this transition, and I already knew a little bit about what was going on as far as the transition and my role. I started looking at like, wait a minute, why are my tasks being... I wasn't doing the work that I was doing before this transition. The office is going through a transition. They're merging departments. I knew even then, just from the information that I had received, that it would not, that some of the things that I did would not be necessary. So I kind of saw that part of it coming, and I'll put it like this. As soon as the meeting started, it was like a Band-Aid being ripped off of a fresh cut because they didn't hold any punches. It just came on right on out with it and said the things that I kind of, in retrospect, expected them to say. It was almost as if I had written the playbook myself. But I just want to talk more about how it made me feel and what happens after that. So they said what they had to say. There was no room for denial because I wasn't being accused of anything. What I was concerned with was, how's the money going to look on my end? And it's never enough, and it's never what you want, but it was more than I had, and it's more than I have had ever. So I was okay with that. And this is the funny part. You tell yourself when you're working full time and then you're trying to create, it gets really difficult. And the deeper you get into your creative process, the more you begin to feel like, if only I could do this full time. Anyone who's been watching my channel for a while know that I want to create a bookstore. I started an online bookstore a few weeks ago. Started off with a little bit of steam, but then it kind of slowed down a little bit. And I was like, it's okay because it's not my main source of income. Little did I know a few weeks later that it would be my only source of income, short of my, of course, unemployment. But as far as the money goes, that's where it is. But think of it like this. I talked about it. Man, if I could only, if I could only. And what happens when you finally get that? What happens when you finally get exactly what you've been dreaming of for years, asking for years, and given so many hypotheticals? If only, if I could only, I would be able to do this. I want to be the first to tell you that It's not always that simple. Unfortunately, it's not always that simple. Let me explain. I spent the first couple of days in complete shock. Not that I didn't expect it, because I kind of felt like it was coming, but still in shock, because we're not talking about 2 years. We're not talking about 5. We're not talking about 10. Not talking about 15. We're talking about 16 years. So this is what happens. The next day you wake up at the same time you've been waking up all of these years, and there's no clock to punch. There's no one telling you what your agenda is for the day or for the week. It's all you. But this is the thing. It sounds great if you prepare for it, but if you're not prepared for it, you're going to immediately go into freak out mode. So you're either going to be freaked out, or you're going to be able to handle it a whole lot better. Me, I was somewhere in between. But the first few days were very, very difficult, because first of all, I didn't tell my son right away. Okay. I didn't tell my son right away. I just kind of held it to myself. I told my sister, my brother, but I just mostly just kind of held it all to myself. And over the next couple of days, I found myself digressing, so to speak. I'm on the couch, and I was just so excited at first. I was like, man, I'm going to get an opportunity to read often. I'm going to be able to shoot all of this content. I'm going to be able to really get this bookstore off the ground. Yes. But it was almost as if my feet were in concrete. I wasn't able to do any of that stuff. I sat on the couch. I watched YouTube videos. I was just kind of, my sister said that I was just taking a few days for myself, but I didn't feel like that, because when you've been, okay, how a lot of people say when you work 8 hours a day, you're trading in a third of your life for a company. It's not true, because you're actually trading in a lot more than a third of your life. Let me tell you how. I didn't have to punch in, but I still felt the weight of the work. It was still right there. The heaviness, and it took a couple of weeks. It's been a few weeks now. It's been 3 weeks, but it took some time for me to really come to grips with being whole and doing the things that I want to do, and not being answering to the clock or the calendar or the phone or the messenger, and not having to be accountable in that way anymore. It took a second for me to see the blessing in it. I'll put it that way. Because like I said, it can get scary. But after things start to get a little bit better. After I got my finances together, and just really understood and came up with a good plan, now I can feel like, okay, so what are you going to do now? And I was like, okay, I think I'm going to file my unemployment and start selling some books. So that's what I've been kind of doing now. I just started packing up books to send to Amazon, and this is what I said I wanted. And the crazy part is, when you actually get it, it's like, oh man, it's here. And it can be very intimidating, because I've spent most of my adult life defined by where I worked and what I did for a living, not by who I am and what I wanted to do and the things that make me happy. That's why I tell my son now, It's not just a job. It's trading bits and pieces of your life. It's trading a significant portion of your life, and you should it should be precious enough for you to enjoy, or at least have a whole lot of respect for what you're trading your life for. Okay, so that just made me think about how even throughout history, when the slaves, 1865, were free for all intents and purposes, free under what they call the law. They didn't all leave the plantation. Some of them stayed on. Some of them, you know, worked for wages, but then got charged rent in their homes. So, you still in bondage because you still living on his land. You still doing his work, and he's making more money. So now you're saying you're better off in slavery. So it's kind of crazy how those kind of things seem to find a way into my mind, but just that kind of that thought process that makes you truly helps me. I'll say it like that. Helps me to really understand, the hold that corporate America puts on you, just the way that it just collapses you. Because, no one cares at the end of the day. No manager, no supervisor, no corporate entity actually cares about you. So I just wanted to talk about that for a minute because I have to I've I've come to a crossroads in my life, and it happens, and it can be a scary thing, but it's also beautiful when everything that you said you wanted is unfolding before your eyes. You're like, oh man, this is wonderful and scary at the same time. I've been talking for years. It's like, man, I want to be a full-time content creator. Duh. I mean, you guys see 100 videos, right? You guys see, if you look on my channel right now, you're probably going to see 105 videos. But there are probably 200 videos that you guys don't see, because before I started off with BookTube, and then I started doing other things. I started creating other content, comedy and health and personal growth and development and relationship vlogging, and just a whole bunch of different avenues that never really took off like the books. The books just kind of took off, but before that, I do have a ton of other content that I was thinking about. Matter of fact, now that I'm talking to you guys about this, I think I'm going to release that content. So look forward to seeing those videos, because I am going to do that. And what I'm also going to do is just start bringing you guys a lot more content. Because as of today, my only income is YouTube. I told my daughter, by the way, about it, and it's her birthday. Yesterday was her birthday. So proud of her. But it's like I have responsibilities, and I have to make this work. There is no other plan. This is the plan. This is what I want to do, so I have to make this work. So yeah, so now I guess I can officially say I'm a full-time content creator and bookseller. Yeah, so what else do I have going on? The Man Who Lived Underground. I'm halfway done with this book. I'll take care of this one. You take a break over there. Okay, Richard Wright, The Man Who Lived Underground is amazing so far. Yeah, I'm halfway done with it, and it has a humor to it. It's a very, very serious matter. The plot, seriously, yeah, it's a murder plot, and you're getting framed. They talk about railroaded from the very beginning, and then to live underground, just gives a whole new meaning. This gives a whole new meaning to live underground. So I can't tell you all of the details, but I will tell you that Richard Wright wrote this in between 1940 and 1945. 1940 Native Son, 1945 was Black Boy, his two most important novels, and this one did not get published. Why? I think it's because of the subject matter as it relates to. I haven't read the entire thing, but as it relates to police officers. So I think that in 1940, him writing something other than a woe is me, you have to keep your hands by your sides when you sleep so you don't get bit by rats. Slums, ghetto life, if that wasn't in there in 1940s, was it really, could it be fed to the mainstream? Just a thought. Okay, you can get back. It's just popped into my head, and yeah, anyway, go ahead. I was poking around in Books A Million, and I saw it, and I was like, okay, I have to have this because I've never heard of it before, and I didn't know it existed by Richard Wright. So, previously unreleased, so I didn't know anything about it. So I picked it up, and I'm loving it. And I'm actually doing a series of Read With Me videos. I haven't really put them out yet, but I'm going to put them out. So, and I'll be doing a review of that probably tomorrow because I think I'm going to do my last Read With Me session this evening. So that's that. And I'll start doing more day-to-day vlog stuff, just kind of based on what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to get all of these books. I have a big shipment that I'm sending off to Amazon tomorrow, fulfillment for books that I'm selling, and that's what my days are going to consist of, is creating content. So I look forward to creating a lot more content, and I'm very excited. I'm very nervous. If anyone has ever been, I guess it happens to everyone, you think things happen in life. You have to adjust to things, but be careful what you ask for. And you also have to have that third eye of yours open, because when you get what you want, it may not come the way that you are expecting it to. It may not be all the glitz and glamour. It may be dingy and dirty and heartfelt and emotional, like this firing was. It felt, it's no matter what, even if you see it coming, even if you see yourself, even if you know I'll put it like this, even if you know you're going to get fired from a job, it's still a part of you that, and I can't say that it hurts. I just feel like it was such a gigantic waste of time. It's like being in a 16-year marriage and then that other person just walks away without a word. say, yeah, I'll give you the divorce. Here's your settlement money, and calls it quits just like that. You're like, oh man. So, that's all I have to say on it. Thank you guys for spending a little bit of time with me, and go over to the bookstore. I will be putting more books online over the next month. Hopefully, I can get a huge majority of these books online, and you never know. I just have to really get this channel to where I want, because I am determined to open this bookstore. And if I can get enough quality videos and really grow my channel the way I want, I hope you're shooting these videos from bookstore, because I don't have to make a lot of money. Okay. If I can make enough to sustain a store, okay, to pay the rent in the store, I'll live off of what's left. I'm going to make it work regardless. But I want to thank you all for taking the time. I want to thank you guys for rocking with me. I want to, if you're new to my channel, I want to invite you to subscribe. I need you to subscribe. I need you guys. Tell a friend. Let's get my subscriber count up. I'm at 15,000 subscribers. I need 150. I need 150 because I don't want to go back to cleaning offices in the evening.